Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Voice Podcast. I'll be your host again, Charles. And today we are honored to invite a local business owner here in the 805. I was actually recommended to him by someone who's been on my podcast, who's a client. A couple people have talked about him too. So I'm actually stoked to hear his progress and his background as well. So we get to hear a little about his story. So I have Branden here with me, owner of the Re-Up Shop, right?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you in here, man. How's your day going today?
I'm going all right, man. Just another day, just grinding and, doing what I got to do.
Nice, man. So tell me about a little bit what you do as of right now.
Right now, I'm a barber. I own the Re-Up Shop in Oxnard. We've been open for, it'll be about 9 years. And I day trade a little bit on the side.
Oh, day trade on the side. Oh, okay, that's interesting. No way. And from the looks of it as well, I forgot to mention that you are also the barber for Logic.
Yeah.
Right. You have another brand. What was it called?
The brand I used to own, I sold the company during COVID, was Perps Aftershave.
Perps. That's right. You sold it. That's from what I heard. Mm-hmm. And then before this, what were you doing?
Before this, I was doing music, and I was co-owner or co-founder of Dope Stock Clothing.
Dope Stock Clothing. Okay, cool. So we're gonna dive a little bit of background into that. So for anybody listening, let's hear a little bit about like your story. How did you come up? How did you get to where you're at now? Like, I mean, I don't know where you want to start with this thing because it looks like you've been kind of in different stages in your life.
Yeah.
So like, how did you like as of right now? Like your main hustle is having this barber shop, right?
Yeah, the barber shop. That's kind of like the bread and butter basically right now.
Cool. So how did you start with that journey?
Let me see. 2008 or 9, I believe. I had went to jail during that time. I did about a year in jail. So in there I was kind of bored, and back then I was kind of rapping and doing stuff, but I'm like, man, when I gotta have some type of foundation when I get out. What am I going to do? Then, you're kind of like looking like before, it's easy to get jobs. I can just get whatever jobs to support myself. Mm-hmm. But I was kind of like figuring, what am I going to do? Like I'm not going to be able to get a job with a record like this. So I was kind of messing around in there in jail, cutting people's hair, cutting myself, before we go to court, or you're bored, you just do random stuff.
Right.
To kill time. So when I got out, someone was just kind of like, hey, you should probably go to barber school. You don't have to do a background check or anything like that. And I've always kind of like was in barber shops. I just never had people to practice on. It was never a thought like, I'm gonna cut somebody's hair. I didn't want to do that, but because I was rapping and had the clothing line, like that was what I really wanted to do, as a career. But I took a patch, and I felt like I took some steps backwards in that. And when you miss time kind of passes you by. So I did a career shift, so I went into barber school, and I started cutting hair, and been doing it ever since, basically.
Okay, that's a really interesting transition. It seems like at some time your mindset was, I would say, attached toward a different path.
Yeah.
Right. What made you decide? Was it a more logistic thing, financial, or more of a decisional aspect wherever you are in life, or was it like a soul kind of change, or what made you decide? Hey, I'm gonna go in this different career path.
It was sometimes it's a fault that sometimes I'm a realist. So I was at the time before that, before I went to jail, like music was my thing. We were selling clothes and doing that stuff, and I wasn't working at the same time, but I was doing shows here and there, and I was able to get by. Mm-hmm. So when I went to jail, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep that up, because I felt like I lost momentum.
Gotcha.
Everything was going good before then, and I was going here, but when I went to jail, everything stopped. So it was like hard. I was like, I don't know if I can keep this momentum up. And I had to realize, I'm getting older. Like, I felt like my time had passed with that. And then even with the clothing thing, like, I felt like if I didn't go, like, I probably would have gone, further in that. But I felt that whole thing stopped my momentum with everything. And I had to make a life choice and kind of change and do something that was a little bit more rock solid and promising, Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what happened, and I started cutting hair, and it just kind of took off from there.
Okay, Cool. It sounds like an amazing story too. And before I want to jump into the aspect of what you're doing now, it seems like there was a powerful transition towards your life, especially coming out of jail. And thank you for sharing that, by the way. I mean, shit, to be honest, like, if I think other people might be ashamed of it, right? Or as far as that end.
No,
yeah, but like at that point when, you got out of jail, and would you say that you felt kind of like your motivation went down, or kind of like maybe you had a different self-belief about yourself?
You having all that time to think about stuff, you reflect on your life different. So
Gotcha.
My mentality was different before, when I went in, and now when I'm going out, I got out, I felt like I was handicapped a little bit. Like I didn't have the comfort where I could be like, oh, I could just get a regular job and, I could support my music career and sell clothes and, build up the clothing brand. It wasn't like that when I got out. I had more obstacles, so I had to get some type of foundation, and music was on the back burner after that.
For sure,
selling the clothes and having creating a clothing line and helping and pushing that was on the back burner, and I was away for some time, so I felt I lost touch with that.
Gotcha. So it's more of like I guess I could say I could relate a few things from my end as well, where I felt like in my life, I've always wanted to go in this direction. I think at some point I really wanted to work for a company just to explore that pathway, but I've always kind of been more entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And I stuck towards that, even though the job I had at the last 2 years wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. But when I found what I was doing, which is, working for other clients, I was like, I'm going to keep doing this thing.
Yeah.
So would you say that at the same time you also had that kind of a calling towards a shift?
For example, I went to barber school. I didn't, I did a couple of haircuts here and there in jail, but I sucked. I didn't really know how to cut hair.
Everybody got to start somewhere, right?
But when you go to barber school, it's a lot of people who already know how to cut hair. So I was already behind on that. But the one thing that I had up on them was I was already an entrepreneur. Like I made my own CDs. I recorded my own stuff.
Right.
Like I learned how to print shirts and design stuff. So I applied when I went to barber school and started cutting hair. I kind of knew I suck, but at one point, if I get it, I know I can outwork these people.
Sure.
I know how to market myself because you can cut better than me, but are you gonna work harder than me? Are you gonna go out and pass cards out? Are you gonna do you know how to back then, like when I was rapping and doing the clothing line stuff, you had to market yourself, and that's when MySpace was big. So
there we go. Wait, how old are you before we go forward?
I'm 35.
35. Oh, okay, you look younger. Oh,
this is a long time ago.
Oh, shit.
Even on when I first started cutting hair,
right,
MySpace was kind of dying out. Instagram popped up, but there weren't really barbers on Instagram.
No, not yet.
There were some, but like you have to remember, people are taking pictures with camera phones. The quality of the haircuts is, it's hard. So like you can filter a lot of stuff. So the quality of haircuts is different. So a lot of people didn't take it. So I started with that, and I had my following. Was still the rapping and then the clothing line and stuff like that. So I kind of used it to my advantage, and I started to build my name and a following with haircutting, doing the same thing. Because in rapping and clothing, the whole thing is branding. You need to get yourself out there, and that's what the thing was. Like barbers didn't have. Which is that
aspect, right? And now it's like everybody brands
does
themselves
it
as the barber, right?
Exactly. Now everybody does it because it's a thing. But when I first started, people weren't doing it because they didn't really know. They're just like, I'm going to go in the shop and that's it.
Yeah, and they just thought the clients would walk in, right?
Yeah, and then you have different barbers or whatever. They're like, oh, my name is Manny or my name is George. But a lot of them didn't have nicknames. But in rapping and clothing, you need a nickname.
You need branding aspect as well.
Exactly. So it's like, it's a brand, like you have to build yourself as a business, as a brand. A lot of people don't know how to be a business. They just go in there, I'm gonna cut and I'm gonna do this, but it's more than that. Customer service, there's a lot of stuff that they don't know. They just think that I'm gonna give a good haircut and post it on social media. You're their clients. For sure. And it's a lot,
And that's an interesting perspective or insight to share, because you're right. Most people just go, like before when I first started, you're right. There wasn't a lot of content on barbing. Now it's like, dude, I want to make my shit look the best. It's gonna look crispy, all this different terminology for it. When did you start cutting hair, or just at least marketing yourself out?
Probably around 2010, 11.
Okay, off the time when Instagram was starting to pop a little bit.
It was first when Instagram started. So I was posting pictures and doing stuff like that. I wasn't marketing really hard because Instagram was really new. But I had Facebook still. MySpace died out. I wasn't using MySpace anymore because MySpace pretty much died out. And MySpace was a big platform for if you were an artist.
I gotta ask, were you using MySpace to market at some point?
With haircuts, no. Because I had my music page and I still was on there, but people were still people that had MySpace were transitioning to Instagram
and Facebook, right?
Yes, but you have to remember Instagram was the first platform to share photos.
Right.
So it was kind of perfect.
That's right. Yeah.
You have to understand the transition. MySpace was a thing. You had photos, but you had music and you had more dialogue. Instagram was the first thing that didn't have dialogue because it was also like it was a first big blog. Because you have to remember after MySpace, the other thing that came was Tumblr.
That's right. Yeah.
Tumblr was the first official blog. Then Tumblr kind of died out because that was like the hipster thing. I have a Tumblr. Do you have a Tumblr? So then the Instagram took the people from MySpace and Tumblr and created their own platform, and it died out. I mean, Facebook turned into people. It was just reconnecting with people in professional world or if you were in school and stuff like that. So Instagram made it cool for you to post pictures and not say anything.
Dang, I actually respect to have somebody in here to be able to articulate platforms like that, especially as someone
because I'm a little bit older, so I'm a little bit older, so I've kind of grew with the times, and I was promoting myself during those times, so I had to transition to all those different times.
Yeah, but what I can respect about you, Branden, is that you can actually talk about it in a way that for me, like I can speak on behalf of how platforms have changed over the past, and that wasn't a conversation I was expecting. Yeah. But I appreciate you for bringing that up, for that insight. Now, you said you were cutting hair while you were in jail.
Yeah.
Right. Was that the reason why you decided to branch out with it, just because you saw something that you could build upon, or was there something else that you saw that made you say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna cut hair," because you could have been totally something else.
Yeah, right? I kind of saw opportunity in that. I cut a couple people in there, and then I was like, man, maybe just let me give it a shot. I've tried other things, and it was kind of like, in business and being an entrepreneur, you have to take risks. So it was a risk. I didn't know what I was doing.
Gotcha.
But once I just stuck with it, once I got the hang of it, I was like, okay, now I could probably make a career or a living off of this. And then it just started kind of gaining momentum, nice. And then I took it more serious because then I started, get more clients and get more money. And then I started seeing like, man, like, I felt like I had an upper hand on some of the people. I felt like people were just cutting hair, but they didn't have the marketing skills or the people skills that I did.
Or the creativity.
Or the creativity, because people weren't doing, certain stuff. Like I was buying different products that people weren't buying because a lot of people were cutting hair, but they weren't using the internet or social media to find new products. Everybody was stuck. Like I remember I was like one of the first people to start using the brand Suavecito in Oxnard.
Oh yeah, everybody uses it now.
They use it now, but I was one of the first ones to like pick it up because everyone was stuck on, the stuff that Target sold or this other company called Layrite.
I use that.
Yeah, so Layrite was the first official. I mean, there's 3 flowers, but Layrite was the first official barber's pomade. No, I wouldn't say barber's pomade. Layrite was the official water-based pomade to come out.
Gotcha.
Everybody else, like 3 flowers that people use the cheap stuff, it was oil-based. Water-based is like the stuff for jail that washes out of your hair easy.
Right.
So Layrite was the first innovator to make water-based pomade. So the people from Layrite had some workers or whatever that they had over there. And they branched out and made their own brand, which was a lot more catchy. Like, how I present myself. They market their brand. They put like a skull with the hat on there, and people started getting on there because it looked Layrite, but the label looks boring. But if you look at Suavecito, it's a guy with a comb over with the skeleton, and it catches people's eye. So I got that, and they were the first one to put a scented pomade on there because Layrite kind of just smells like vanilla a little bit.
That's interesting. I didn't even know about the story about this thing. That's pretty cool how a product like that has grown in an industry like that. And for the most part, I mean, I've definitely seen an increase in the amount of barbers in here. You know, like what are your thoughts on that? I mean, like, is that like an opportunity or is that like
it's a disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage. Okay.
It's it's oversaturated. I mean, it's good and it's bad, but now it's just a lot of barbers. So it's just like, you say you went to LA or somewhere far to study to do what you do for marketing and networking and stuff like that. And you build your clientele and you're, one of the only people, you're not saying the only people out there, but there's only a few people who do what you do. Then say down the street, they open 3 or 4 different schools teaching what you learned in LA. And then all of a sudden there's a bunch of competitors. And then, now it's crazy because, you'll have a set price, but a hungry guy in the game is going to be like, well, hey, Charles is charging $500 an hour to do this. I'll do it for $200. It oversaturated. People start undercutting you and it messes up the market. It's good because it became popular, but now when stuff becomes popular, there's always competition, always undercutting people and tension with people. And when I first started, it wasn't like that. Everybody respected everybody and, everybody was cordial. But now when there's so much competition, it calls for greed and envy and hate.
Really? Is that, I don't know if you can speak on behalf of the barber community, or at least from your experience in here. Would you say there's a little bit of that aspect in here?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
I don't know.
It is,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you from the outside looking in, being an owner and being a barber, and having 13 years in the game. To me, it's not a lot because I know other older barbers, but now, I see these young barbers coming 18 out the game and doing crazy haircuts and posting on social media. And then, you ask them to do a simple haircut. They can't do it. They just want to do the one that they see on. Really? It's different. A lot of people, a lot of barbers are cutting corners. A lot of shops are cutting corners, and it's a lot of competition out there. But I don't try to get into that because I just try to keep it cool with everybody. But I see it from the younger barbers, and I try to teach them and show them the right way to do things. But it's harder when it's oversaturated. You only could do so much, And
I feel like that has to do with seeing others. I mean, if I position myself in their eyes, they see someone who has cut hair and it's a viable way of making money, and they just think it's an easy way to make money. Would you say that stems from that, or why do you think?
It stems from that, and it stems from social media. Now, before, when I started, there wasn't social media for barbers. I can only, when I told you about the MySpace days, I can only name 3 or 4 barbers that were on MySpace, and they were celebrity barbers. There weren't regular barbers on there. So now you have all these platforms, and a regular barber would try to be like they're a celebrity barber.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's in a lot of people now, it's like people join it not because I really want to cut hair. They join it for the lifestyle. They're like, oh, I want to cut hair. I make my own hours, and I see these guys, and these guys dress so fly, and it's like a lifestyle. It's like it's almost
captivating.
It's like being a rapper. Everyone wants to be a rapper because for the lifestyle. Do they really love rapping?
Right.
Do they love
but
the
they're not
art
willing
form?
to put into work.
Exactly. It's like a guy's coming over here, and I'm talking to you before we're on film, and you're passionate in what you do. But say there's another kid coming in there, they just see you get in the camera, they just want to do what you do, but they don't have the passion for it. They just want to do it because it looks cool.
Oh man, yeah, I
know you felt that. You're not going to call people out and do that, but you putting the work in, you start to notice certain things,
or just even having their own agency. Yeah, for me, I did not intend to start an agency. I just happened to create an agency out of doing what I love, which became, I can offer this to other people. Yeah. And it became kind of like a thing, which is I'm building now.
And that's the same. That's how I ended up opening up the barbershop. It was never like people are like, oh, was your dream open a barbershop? It wasn't my dream. It just ended up happening like that. I knew business, and I knew when I worked at, 2 other barbershops, and I started looking at the logistics, and I was like, man, I think I could do this myself, And I did. And, when I first opened my barbershop, there wasn't that many out there. And now there's, every corner there's
sure.
one, so
even especially with COVID, right? People are transitioning to just cutting from home, which, we're not going to tell the feds.
Exactly. And another thing that kind of messed it up for the barbershop, or just, I'm not knocking it, because as a business, how should I say it? From a business perspective, it's a good idea, but the salon suites and stuff like that. So people don't want to be in the barbershop. They're like, I want exactly how you have this space. They'd be like, I want my own space and do that. So for me, it hurts me as a barbershop owner because that's kind of like what I do. But now these big franchises come in here and try
to occupy and teach people, or have them, work for us for a cheaper rate, right?
Exactly, or have your own space, or you do this, and you don't have to be there. And it's a cool. Like I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like as an owner's perspective, it's like if you have your own pizza brand. And you're doing pretty good, and freaking Domino's starts comes over here and
buying shit out,
exactly, and they have
the market.
They have more resources and capital to take your workers or your clients, and
and I feel like there's always going to be competition like that where like for example gyms, people start up more gyms in here,
exactly,
but there's always going to be bigger gyms, 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness, Planet Fitness. But then the question comes down into, because I feel like with what you've created, and we're going to dive into a little bit about that, not just your reputation but your engagement with the community, it really comes down to. So with that being said, knowing what you know, that there are companies or smaller based businesses that are like basically being able to take advantage of this thing, how did you differentiate yourself? Because it seems like you have a lot of knowledge and ideas to differentiate yourself.
You build your brand and you stick by your brand and you try to be different. So whatever they're doing, you do the opposite, or whatever idea you have, you want to be the first.
Nice.
So you don't want to be the last. You don't want to ride the wave. You want to be the wave. So
that.
when I first started, like I didn't make this up, but I started. That's why I was talking about product and marketing and doing stuff. I started going beyond like my city of barbering. They started doing barber battles and stuff like that. So I was traveling, going to Bakersfield, San Diego, LA. Wherever, in a 3 to 4 hour, from one to 3 to 4 hour distance to go try to compete. And then it hit me. I'm like, man, we don't have any over here. So I opened my shop and I'm like, I'm going to other barber battles and let me do one. So I opened up my shop and, I was kind of skeptical about it because, in your cities, it's hard. Like when people don't like to support you or whatever, like you'll have strangers support you before your friends or other people support you. Facts. So I didn't want to get a venue or nothing. So I did a barber battle inside my shop, and then to be respectful, I didn't get any out of town judges. I told a couple, like I think 5 owners that I respected that had barbershops of their own. And I told them, you guys be the judges of the barber battle. Nice. And I made it inclusive, like a community thing. We had, it turned out I probably had like maybe 200 people in my small barbershop. It was bigger than.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, it was bigger than what I expected. I had to have people outside, and I had to say, hey, only the guys competing in here. I mean, logistically, it was a shit show, but it was.
It has to start somewhere, right?
I had to start somewhere, but I didn't know how it was going to go, so I didn't want to put money into a venue and do something. I didn't know how many of the people were going to come out here because it's never been done before. So I did that, and it was a success. And then after that, I was like, man, I got to do something bigger. So I reached out to one of my homies, Julius Caesar. He's a celebrity barber and a big name, and another guy named Norby Mackin from the Bay, and they ended up flying out here, and I did another one at the Residence Inn Marriott.
Nice. So you hosted it nearby, but
a bigger venue, legit lights, all that, and I had celebrity judges. So. The first battle I had, that's why I said about the whole city thing. People were, some guys won and they're like, oh, well, this guy works with this guy, it was rigged. So I was like, I can't have this. So I'm just going to, to be on a fair playing field, I'm going to get a judge from out of town. So, I paid and got the judge and, got them accommodations, got them in their rooms and stuff like that. And I did that. And, that one turned out, I think I had like 300 some people. Then maybe I think a year or two after that, I did part 3. I had another venue, and that one was it was pretty crazy. I got another celebrity judge, my homie JC the barber, and then another barber named Lipstick the barber. So they're out in the LA area. So I got them out here, and that was different because he was. I mean, I knew him since barber school, so it's funny to see. Not funny, but it's crazy to see how he grown. Like I knew this guy from barber school, and he's a celebrity barber. So I book him. He comes out. This dude had his own security.
Oh shit!
So I wasn't logistically ready for the security. He's asking me, "Oh, can my security bring? Can he carry in this venue?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
Oh
so,
shit!
You know what I'm saying? Like I just ordered you for a judge. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so I had to get him and get him ready and get him right. So I had a venue. We agreed on all ages. All my stuff was all ages.
Really?
They flipped it on me 2 days before the event and said it has to be 21 and over.
Oh no!
So I had to find a last minute venue. I found one which was at Corner Pocket.
Okay.
And billiards? I had to do the upstairs. Yes, the billiards. So I got that. Problem is, I had maybe close to 500 people.
Jesus.
No air conditioning.
God damn! This was a summer, I imagine.
Yeah, I believe it was the summer.
Yeah, it sounds like it's the package.
And I had booked an artist, which was another one of my homies, High Tone. I had him come out and perform too. So it was and so I had so much going on, and then it was stressful. Also, which I was the first one to do. Also, I did a makeup competition. So I did the barbering in one room and a makeup competition.
Oh shit!
In there. So I ran both of them at the same time, and then I had an artist perform on a little mini stage with that, and I had maybe 15 to 20 fans running in there because it was hot. So I mean, it ended up being good, a good venue, but it was crazy just like cramming everything in, trying to get every stuff done, because when you have a locked in venue, you already, you know what I mean? Like,
you pay for it already.
I paid for
you
it.
Had people coming in there.
I had people coming there. I'm scoping it out. I know exactly where I'm gonna put it. Then 2 days later, they drop a bomb on me. It was crazy. So that thing ended up good. I mean, as best it could. It could have been better because, I planned for something else, but I made it work. So that was the third one. After that, then that's where it comes into being oversaturation. Other shops started doing it around here, which is good. And that was good for the culture to do it. So now it's like every weekend there's one. Like, I'm not saying here, but it becomes so it becomes so popular. Everyone was doing it.
Really?
Yeah. So
I think you're the only one that I know who has hosted it. Now, for anybody who isn't aware of the barber culture, can you give a little bit of details, like what goes on in a barber competition?
So a barber competition, you're given some time. Basically, you'll go on there and you sign up for say fastest fade. So fastest fade will be you have to do a fade within 15 minutes, and you only get those 15 minutes, and maybe it has to be longer, no shorter than the 2 on the top. And then they will go on there, and whoever's on there, and then you'll go and they'll judge the best fade or the best comb over, and that's how it goes. And some people use point systems, or some people just say I like that one, and that's how the competitions pretty much go.
Interesting. Now, when you first, I know you got some of these ideas from different shows, and you want to bring here in the hometown. What was your intent behind it? Like I mean, from the way I'm seeing it, it's a great strategy because, one, I talk about this with a lot of my clients and other people that get on board as well, is that you create a platform. Before we're gonna dive a little bit into that, but for you, when you've decided to say, hey, I want to start a barber competition here, what was your initial intention behind that?
My initial intention was I'm traveling to all these other cities, trying to like represent for myself and let them know like Oxnard has good barbers.
Nice.
And now when I did it, I'm like, you come to Oxnard and so Oxnard could be known for cutting and stuff like that, because it's a funny thing. When I went to barber school, there was no barber schools around here.
Is there now?
There's 3 or 4 now.
Okay.
So my time is different from back then. So back then everyone used to travel to go to school. So I went to school in Van Nuys for a whole year.
Oh, shit.
So in Van Nuys, like, everyone's from the Valley, like Lancaster, all these places, because that was the closest school. So when you're going to school, there's tension. Like, the Valley barbers think they're better than the Oxnard barbers.
Aww.
And, you know what I'm saying? We'll go over there, and we're a big group. So it's the same thing when you go to barber competitions. Everybody's yelling out where they're from. It's a big, it's competitive.
That's
Some
cool.
people, we'll go, the bigger ones that I competed in, there are people flying out. So it's not... I did the one called exotics and stuff like that. When in my category, there was 30 to 40 people cutting at the same time in that category. Damn. So you made...
How many judges were in here?
And they hadn't...
Oh, no, sorry, the judges. How many instructors were in here?
From Oxnard over there?
Yeah.
I can't remember, but there was, there's people from Oxnard over there. Like, there's people that placed over there. But the thing was, like, we're from Oxnard in LA. those big ones, people are flying out. So you're battling against people from Florida, New York, or whatever. They're representing states, so it's a lot bigger. So
right,
that got to my point where I was like, you know what, I want people to come to Oxnard and know Oxnard for cutting hair also too. And then, you know, I started the coach. I felt like I started that barber battle culture earlier, and then there's other, you know, shops that open like New Era and Cali Cuts and stuff like that, and the Barber Lounge that did it after me, and they kept it going.
Nice.
And it was a good thing. Everyone's like, oh, how do you feel about it? You know, at first you're just kind of like, oh, you know, well, I did it first type of thing, but I didn't kind of like I didn't look at it that way. I wanted to like have those people in Oxnard be known like, hey, I'm going to go to barber battle in Oxnard. Oxnard, what's Oxnard? Oh, you know, they host a lot of battles over there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know, just like Oxnard's known for, you know, it's always just strawberries and boxing. You know,
it's funny because I was talking about to a few people. One of the things that most people know for Oxford now is like the foods.
Yeah.
Right. I think barber, the Hispanic culture. I would say strawberry, obviously. You know, but even like the coast, like the ocean area. Yeah. And I always love that, like, you know, people from Oxnard that are building in here always have massive love for Oxnard just to give back, just to get recognition. And I talk about it a lot from other people as well, is that we're very prideful.
Yeah.
You know, when we create something, or when we create some sort of wave, or we trigger something, or someone is making a noise, we're very supportive and cheerful of them in a way, right?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, but I mean, that's where I kind of get into what I was when I started coming up. It was different, where there's a lot more respect. I feel now like the younger generation lacks that respect. Everything's competition to them. Everything's like, it's not real unless you post it. Like, it's changed. You know, I don't know if you noticed that too with a lot of stuff. Like, you know, everyone's doing something.
I definitely feel a disconnect with the young generation. I don't know, particularly in the barber community, but I feel with the upcoming generation, there's a lot of disconnect between where they're living, because, you know, most of them are coming up in a era of society where they were born into the social media area.
Exactly.
For us, right, we were we were learning about it. You know what I'm saying? Like MySpace, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram. Like, those came to us and we watched it grow.
Yeah.
These people came to that, and that was their form of media. Our form of media primarily was like television, cable, right? Radio. And then they're coming up basically, hey, you know what? My form of television is YouTube. Streaming services, social media, right? So their perceptions, I wouldn't say it's limited. Yeah, they might have a lot more information, but they're not getting that actual non-virtual experience.
But the disconnect on there also is they have so many resources where it spoils them in a way, and it messes it up, where everybody now is self-taught. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I pick up a camera, I'm a photographer.
Oh, dude, I mean, I learned.
That's what I'm saying. You know, now for cutting hair, they'll skip school and just try to learn from YouTube, and then go and be like, hey, I'm gonna come in the shop, and it's like, you can cut hair or whatever, but you need a license. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You cut hair, but you're skipping the part. I had to go to school and pay for all this stuff to get a license. And I'm not knocking nobody without a license. I'm just saying, like, now that people now are skipping steps with everything. You know, same thing with, like, I'm gonna go and, you know, I want to be like Charles. I'm gonna buy all this equipment or whatever, and then I'm gonna set up a thing. Well, do you have, you know, insurance? Do you have an LLC? Did you go get your business license? Did you? Yeah. No, I don't. What is that? I mean, you want to charge someone $1,000, but you're not a business.
For sure. Or even then, like, your intention is not there. Yeah. I think it comes down to there. Like, at some point, if you do decide to legitimize, like, yeah, okay, if you're trying to save up for it, makes sense, right? But I get what you're saying, because I do feel a lot of people want to live the lifestyle, but don't want to actually be in the process of it.
And that's why I use the example. That's why I use the term cutting the corners. People want to cut the corner. They don't want to do the work, you know, and it's the same thing with new barbers coming in the shops, and they're going there and sitting there, and you're like, why am I not busy? Let me post on social media and maybe I'll get a client there. Like, you have to do other things. You got to put in the work. You can't just sit there and it's because you got so infatuated with the lifestyle, you never did the homework to do the work to get to the point where the barber you like got to.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not doing the homework. You're going on YouTube and just learning how to cut. But are you learning customer service? Are you learning passing your cards? You know, I always tell everybody, they always talk about how do you get clients and do other stuff.
Really?
Like, I'm not the biggest person and say like I'm booked for 2 weeks. I have this clientele. But to me, I always tell a barber, client retention is the most important thing. I'm like, you could look at me and you'd be like, man, sometimes like that haircut was cool or whatever. And I'm like, people don't like me all the time for my haircuts. People like me for me. You have to make the person like you. You could look and you could look at somebody and you're like, man, that haircut sucks. And that guy keeps going back to the guy. Do you think he likes his haircut? No, he likes that person for him. He may like he might like that conversation every time you sit in the chair. He might break up with his girlfriend and you give him the best life advice. He doesn't give a shit about the haircut. You can go get a haircut anywhere. It's the same thing. Like I can go to you and be like, Charles, give me a video. I can go to a cheaper guy, but it's not about you doing a better video than the person. I like you for you. I like the relationship you have and I trust you. It's not about your skills. Everybody has skills. Everybody can cut hair nowadays. For sure. What separates you from the other guy?
It's your connection.
Your connection. You have to make connections with people. You have to build relationships. And that's why I try to teach all the young barbers and other barbers who are struggling. They just think them being good is going to get them somewhere. It's not about being good. It's about making connections, networking, and client retention, keeping those. So when I have a client in my chair, they're talking to me. I make sure when they come back the next time, I remember that conversation we had. They value that. They be like, and then they'd be like, oh, my mom died and this and like that. When they come back in my chair, I'm like, oh, how's your mom? They're like, oh, you remember that? That's something you have to do. Some guys are just cutting hair and then they'll come back and they look at the haircut, post it on social media. There's no connection, right? There's no connection. They're like, oh, I just did a dope haircut. All right, man, I'll see you next time. There's no connection. Then when they come back and you're like, oh, I want the same thing I did last time. They're like, oh, I don't remember what you did. You took a picture of it and did this. Yeah. But like, I remember the same haircut I give these people all the time. Like, oh, you did too. And then they're like, oh, you're surprised. That's all part. Those are the little things that you need to pick up and get like that. And I teach everybody that in business. If you go to a restaurant and people are like, this restaurant is better than this restaurant. Why you go here, whatever? It's because you feel comfortable. You go to the waiter and the waiter knows your thing already. Like
familiarity.
Exactly. But people don't understand that.
Yeah. It's crazy because I talk about this a lot in my content through clients, people I talk to, people who ask about advice. You could have the best skill in the world, you know, but if you don't have the connection with the people, like the biggest thing I preach on is it's not about what you offer. It's not just about what problems you can solve. It's about how you make them feel at the end of the day.
You have to make a person feel good. A haircut, they'll look good, but do they feel good? Are you like, you know, bigging them up and when in the chair? Or are you giving them advice? Are you talking to them? Are you laughing? Like when I'm in the barbershop, you know, our biggest thing is we make fun of each other and we talk stuff to each other. Nice. And I always tell my barbers, you have to have tough skin in here because the clients like that type of stuff. They'll come in there and it's like not a soap opera, but like a comedy show in there. They're going in there, they get their hair cut, and they're laughing because we're clowning on each other and talking stuff. We're talking sports. Like they like that environment. It may not even be the haircut. You can mess up on their hair, but they were so like in tune with somebody's conversations and laughing and having fun. Some people just like to get away and it's their place to be, and you have to make that for them. A lot of people sometimes I go into their shops, I see other shops, and the guys are just sitting there cutting, not talking to each other or not talking to their client, and they want to take a big picture and have their phone. They're on Instagram Live showing how they could cut their hair, and there's no interaction. They're just, and then that's a disconnect I'm trying to say with the young barber. Like, you see videos of barbershops and you guys, there's an old guy sitting in there, there's people in there laughing and they're talking and doing that. You have to bring that environment for that stuff. Just like the separation between a mom and pop's restaurant and a franchise.
Or any corporate business.
Exactly. They lack that connection with the people.
It's the personable aspect, you know, and you know, that's an interesting thing because like I said, you know, you can't duplicate those type of connections and experiences with people. It's something that's found within people and through values. And that's why I'm always intrigued when I get people on like you in here, Branden, is because it's the values that make people different. It's the voice that they have that people don't understand, or at least don't have the insight to grasp, especially for the younger generations, you know?
Yeah.
As far as this end, I want to pivot to see how else. I mean, are you looking for any barbers right now?
Right now I'm full, but you know, like
I was looking for more,
and that's why I say them. Yeah, I mean, I'm full right now, but you never know what happens. Like barbers come and go all the time, and that's something you have to live with and learn how to grow from there. And keep in touch with other barbers, and your reputation is golden. Like, you need a reputation for other people to come to your shop, So I try to teach everybody, to respect each other and have respect. So if another barber leaves, I never hold any grudges. Sometimes I'll keep in contact, or if another barber opens up a shop, I still, hit them up or see how they're doing, or like, I don't hold those hard. I don't want to burn bridges with people, because you never know when someone want to cross back. Mm-hmm. You don't want to.
Or even then, maybe their type of barber just won't fit for that upcoming customer.
Exactly, and that's okay. Right? But there's a lot of times where people start holding grudges and doing stuff, and I try not to do that, because it's just, to me, that's not the right way to run business. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. I can't speak for other people, when they, a barber or, someone leaves their shops and they hold a grudge or whatever. I try not to hold a grudge or anything, unless they did something, the wrong way. Like, I always like most of the time it's like barbers.
Path, right?
Yeah. And I always tell barbers, or, most of the barbers who I left, they gave me enough respect and told me, hey, I'm going to leave in a month, or I'm going to leave in 2 weeks. And I appreciate that. Like, but the ones that are just like, oh, I'm gone today. It's kind of like that's like, you have to show me respect, and I'll give you the respect. All the other ones that are like that, I never made them feel uncomfortable in their last weeks or last days. Or I tell them I wish them the best, and I thank you for their time, because people. I left barbershops before. Like, sometimes you may feel you outgrow a barbershop, or you may leave to another location, or you want to make your own, like, and do your own thing, and you never want to, like, stop a bird from spreading its wings.
Right, for sure. And that's a good intention to have, because I feel like good karma always comes back into you.
Yeah, I always feel like karma comes back. I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't had bad barbers, and even some of the bad barbers I've talked to or kept it cool with, and it was just business. Like, even people I fired, and I've had barbers come that I fired and thank me and tell me, like, hey, I learned from when you fired me, and thank you for giving me chances.
That's
like, cool. I became a better barber because of that. Because you kind of set a foundation of rules, and they went to another barbershop and they didn't have those foundations of rules, and I value the structure was different.
Cool. And if you don't mind, Branden, since we're on the topic of, like, talking about bad barbers, right? like being a bad barber. So for anybody who do decide, or who is starting, or who has just started, what are some things that you would recommend to them so that they can set themselves up for success based on your experience, and even working with a barbershop?
So if you're looking for a barbershop, you want a barbershop that, first of all, that has a great location. Second of all, has foot traffic. Third, has been around for a while. You want something with reputation, because if someone say, for example, some people move out of town, and you're like, well, I'm visiting town. They're going to go to a place that they know, not a new shop. They're going to be like, oh, I heard about this shop. You recommended. And if you're starting out, you want to learn as much as you can. The problem I see sometimes is the newer barbers, they get too proud, and I always tell people, shadow somebody. Who do you like in this barbershop that cuts the best? And you'll go over there, ask that person, hey, can I watch you? And you learn it, and you learn and soak up game from that person. But nowadays, I just see them, they'll sit down on their phones and just sit there and they think they made it just because they got in the barbershop. But sometimes I'm looking, you look in their haircuts, and you're like, you still have a lot long to go. Go over there and go look. Don't be ashamed. Like, everyone starts. It took me 2 to 3 years to get to a decent point where I felt comfortable with my haircuts. And a lot of these guys come out of barber school and they think they just got the license, that they made it already, and it's not, man. You're progressing. Like, I switch up my style. I switch up different things I use all the time. Like, it's always evolving, because haircuts change. Like,
for sure.
The same haircuts I was doing 12 years ago.
Really? Actually, can we pivot in that conversation? Like, what's, as far as haircut styles? Because for me, I remember I've kind of have gotten the same haircut, like with a little fade and tapers, and then mostly fades. Keep it long or short. I've had my phases too, kind of like trying to fit the cholo scene at one point. But what's changed within the hair with the, I would, what would you call this industry?
I can tell you I can tell you what I don't like doing or don't like seeing is the Edgar takeover.
Okay.
I try to stay away from those haircuts as much as possible.
Why is that?
it's preference. I mean, all the young kids are getting it. I think it's a dumb haircut, but it's you have. It's not for me to like. It's for the
customer.
The customer wants it and don't give it. I personally don't enjoy doing them. The newer barbers, it's easier for them to do it. I don't want to say too much about it because when I first started coming up, all the old guys didn't like to do mohawks, and when I got out there, mohawks were struggling on mohawks. But I was younger, so I was doing the mohawks, so it was easy for me. But for them, they started like, I'm gonna charge you $5 more to do the mohawk because they struggled on that, and it wasn't something they did. But I was in barber school, so you were getting the newer stuff to come in here, and so I now I see it reversed, and I feel like I'm the old guy on there, and now Eggers come, and I hate the Eggers just like how the old guys hate the mohawks, So it's the Eggers and very low tapers and stuff like that. Now a lot of people are getting the mullets. I don't mind the mullets though, because I think it's just kind of that's it. That I always say in haircuts, history repeats itself. So mullets were hot in the 80s, we had a period of the comb over, which was like,
Oh yeah, I was in them.
People were like, the comb over. That comb over is not nothing new. It just came back. It was something from there. Then mohawks was the 80s.
Right.
Mullets was the rock star 80s. So now we're doing the Edgar. I just don't know what what era that came from. So
it's so funny how they make fun of that on social media.
Yeah, man. And then we go through different phases. Then we had the man bun.
Yeah, I remember the man bun. I mean, it's still around.
It's still around. It's starting to die out. But we had that. Then everyone had the low fade before the shortcut. So it just. You just go through phases and periods in time, but for me, that's the haircut I don't enjoy doing at all.
But that's an interesting conversation topic that you talked about, that how it's adapting or changing over time, just like how trends are. Yeah. Because like for me, like I would get the same haircut every single time, or at least almost the same, So for me to hear as a marketer, that things change over time based on styles, like, and then as a barber, I think it showcases how important it is to be okay with changes.
Yeah, you have to be okay with changes. It's like now, some people were like, well, you have this, what is it, DSLR camera or whatever?
Well, this is a mirrorless camera.
Okay, so
trust me, I don't know as much. I have somebody else know more than me.
Okay, so this is digital basically, right?
Right.
So back then everyone was taking film. Now film's coming back. Some people want those film photos.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Vintage.
So the vintage look, but everyone's doing these type of cameras now, which is digital. But that's why I'm saying history repeats itself in every industry. Some people go and they want to get like a vintage look, or it just kind of goes into these cycles all the time.
I feel like it just comes with who they see it from, right? When they start to see enough people of it and it becomes accepted, it becomes like, hey, this is okay to have this thing. Like, for example, there's all kinds of old school stuff that nowadays we, used to look up to, but then it kind of died out, and then all of a sudden the new generation's picking up on it, Well,
look at fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
We go through trends. 2000s was baggy pants. Now you're going to fitted. We had the hipster look where you're going to fitted. That was
loose,
50s.
Loose.
Everyone was wearing tight pants with chucks. That was in the 50s. And then you had the grunge look and the rustic look. Now people want vintage clothing, which is like old 80s shirts.
Yep.
Those are the 80s. Yep. People they're buying.
I can't stand them.
That's what I'm saying. People want the holes in the pants.
Not to hate, because my little brother wears a lot of it. I'm just like, why do you dress like that?
Yeah, and when you look at it, exactly, and you look at it, and then they're charging like $80 for like an old shirt because it's gem, but it's just history repeats itself. People catch on to certain things, and it sucks because like say a lot of you're looking at back and like, man, I threw away a shirt like that. I could have made $80 on there. That's how I see it. That's how I feel about Pokemon cards and baseball cards, because and I threw away a lot of those stuff back then, and then now they're coming back and worth so much.
I still kept them.
But that's what I'm saying. Like even now, I remember back in the days we had the Tamagotchis.
Oh my gosh! Now that brought back memory from a while back.
Now those are coming back. I seen Supreme drop their own Tamagotchi.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that.
See, so it's like a lot of stuff's coming back, and the new generation are trying to get stuff like that, and it just that's why in marketing and business history always repeats itself. Like it's a cycle. You have to always learn, and you have to adapt and go with the cycle.
I think for you, what I've taken away from you so far is that you're very observative, right? You like to learn and see why people do it the way they do. And I think that's what makes you stand out and be able to adapt. I mean, I imagine that's how you've been able to work through COVID too, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I like to read a lot of books. So, one of my favorite books, a marketing book, is Contagious.
Interesting. I've heard a little about that. I haven't read it yet.
So, the Contagious it's a marketing book. It teaches you about because everyone thinks marketing is business cards. So I'm gonna do a video. Marketing is psychology.
Yeah.
Why does McDonald's have a red and yellow? Because those red means stop. The color red means stop. So if I make a red logo, that means stop. So when I did my logo, I wanted to put red in there because red means stop. It's going to catch your eye and stop. You have to do something different. So like in the book Contagious, they put a famous story about a cheesesteak, right? I mean, a cheesesteak, a Philly cheesesteak. A guy was in Philadelphia. He made a Philadelphia cheesesteak, right? Everybody has cheesesteak over there, right?
Right.
So he's like, man, I want to do a cheesesteak, and everyone was like, man, you're not going to make money. There's too many people. Mm-hmm. So he thought of an idea to do a speakeasy, and he made a speakeasy. So you open the telephone, you open the telephone, and it opens up to a place where it says a speakeasy. And he did like a premium a cheesesteak. So his cheesesteak was $150. That cheesesteak it was lobster, and it came with a bottle of champagne.
Oh shit!
So he became one of the most famous people.
Sounds
people
like
thought
very
it was crazy.
High class kind of a.
But he did a cheesesteak. Mm-hmm. It was normal, but everyone thought it was crazy. But he did a twist on it. So branded it, and it's psychology because everyone and people were like, I'm not going to pay $150 for a cheesesteak, but it's not about you paying for that. What did you just do? Right now, you talked about it. Mm-hmm. What does marketing want you to do? Yeah. Talk about it. You built the buzz for him. Whether you buy it or not, his thing is going to come, and people are going to be mysterious and say, you know what, let me go. I want to try this. Mm-hmm. What's this all about? And he got you. That's psychology. Yeah. Same thing as when you look at the Super Bowl. People are paying millions of dollars for a commercial, right? Someone always tries to make the most memorable commercial because
experience.
Exactly. You're like, oh my gosh, look at that Pepsi commercial. When you walk in the store, boom. Oh, Pepsi right there. It got you. Psychology. Yeah. You might buy the Pepsi because you were laughing at that commercial. But people don't understand that. Marketing is all psychology. It's putting stuff into your brain. So when you pass by that thing, you might want to buy it or you might want to get it. And you have to make that thing popular. You want people talking about it. You can have the shittiest product, but if you market yourself the best, that's why I talked about conversation. Yeah. People are always going to come get it. Like, what's the difference between Pepsi and Coke? Nothing. Just better marketing. Coke has better marketing than Pepsi.
Facts.
They taste the same. Mm-hmm. What's better than a burger? Five Guys or McDonald's? Five Guys. Who has better marketing?
McDonald's for
Which
sure.
Which one's busier?
McDonald's for sure.
Shitty customer service, but they have the best commercials. There's one on every corner. It's marketing.
Yeah, and they have more budget on that as well, especially with
but they did different things. Mm-hmm. Their marketing is way better than Five Guys. Five Guys is simple, but Five Guys has the better product, but McDonald's marketing will always be superior.
And the cool thing with that, I had to touch base on that I've learned. I don't know if you watched it on Netflix. There's a movie of the guy who got the idea from the owners of McDonald's. Their thing was like, it's not about creating the best burgers. It's about creating duplicatable systems that can be done easily and expanded faster.
And that's another thing. I'm gonna transition to the barbering. I try to teach barbers because these barbers get infatuated with social media and they want to post the best haircut, right? So I teach these barbers, okay, I do my haircuts in 30 minutes, and people be like, okay, they're always focused on giving a 10 out of a 10 haircut, right? So if I give you a 10 out of a 10 haircut, right, and I take an hour and 30 minutes on there,
oh shit,
that client is going to give me the same money as if I did a haircut at rated at an 8, and I spend 30 minutes on there.
Oh wow, interesting. So systemize them to become more efficient and make more money.
Be the McDonald's. Don't be the sit down restaurant because McDonald's makes more money than there. People still go to McDonald's and complain about a shitty burger, but they'll still go there because they know it can get fast, in and out, inefficient.
And you know what? I'd rather have efficient and like a 7, 8 haircut than like a 10 to take an hour and a half.
Exactly. And I try to teach these people there, but they're so like, I need to do this perfect haircut and I need to do it. You know, I want to post it on social media. And I'm like, you're losing money. It's a system. It's okay to love your craft, but you have to treat this as a business.
For sure.
Look at the logistics. If I'm doing 3 haircuts an hour, you're doing 1 haircut and I'm doing 3 haircuts in that time. You know, say it's $40. I made 120. You made 40. So you're losing money,
right?
So I try to tell them, don't be efficient. Try to don't try to push 10s every single time. Try to push an 8 because the 8 is going to get the same amount of money as a 10. And you'll probably get more clients being faster.
And to be honest,
I'm being honest with you.
No. And the funny thing is, to be honest, most people won't even see the difference. Right?
They won't see the difference. They don't.
I don't know.
So I mean, I've had different people. They're like, man, you didn't spend enough time on my hair.
Well, for what?
You know, I'm like, man, I've been cutting 12 years or whatever. Like, you know, I'm not gonna spend an hour in something on your hair if I can get it done in this time. Does it still look good? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people just want a clean haircut and look good, like, but
that's
you know, social media has you fooled of thinking like you have to have these pictures.
Oh man,
these perfect pictures, and it comes and it's with the clients too, because sometimes now there's so much they don't know Photoshop filters, they don't know if you're putting paint on there. They want those. Can you make my lineup look like this? And I have to explain to them, hey man, that's hair dye on there. That's not his real hair. Those are hair fibers. That's not his real hair.
Oh,
can you make my beard look like this? Man, that's paint on there. That's not real. Oh, can you make the blend like that? That guy, that picture is pixelated. He used Photoshop to make it look wider on there and balder on there. That's not real. So that's another big struggle. That's why I tell you, like, generation in social media has messed a lot, because a lot of barbers are using Facetune and stuff like that. And it's perception. You know, I mean, I'm not knocking it's good marketing, but it's starting to make it worse for us to give unrealistic expectations for people.
Definitely pave them in the wrong insight, or at least perception of what reality is.
Yeah.
I want to pivot a little bit towards, you know, obviously you've been a barber for Logic.
Yeah.
Are you still cutting his hair as of right now?
Yeah. Currently, I cut him 2 weeks ago, I believe. Okay.
How did you come across becoming a celebrity barber like that? I mean, like, I imagine, you know, like, they're looking for somebody who they can trust, and they're willing to pay them at their own time because they're so busy.
I wouldn't call myself a celebrity barber. I say I would cut celebrities, because to me, a celebrity barber would be like your main clientele.
Okay, your main niche, right? Because you're known for that. Gotcha,
you know, you could say that I don't mind people saying that I am, but I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm a celebrity barber, because I feel like that's not me. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Thank you for distinguishing it.
Yeah, I don't want to come out there and people just think that's all I cut, because I don't. I just have a couple. I mean, I've cut a couple people who happen to be celebrities. With that, basically, my brother worked for him. And one day he needed a haircut, I think like 3 or 4 years ago, and I cut his hair, and the reason he liked cutting me is because I'm not gonna say it's personal business, but the reason, like, he doesn't like to be in the chair for a long time.
Oh, okay, so you can do it fast enough.
I did it fast. Other people other barbers would be like, oh my gosh, I'm cutting Logic, let me take my time, an hour and 30. He doesn't like that. So I'm over there, I cut him 10-15 minutes, boom, he's in and out. Okay, it looks cool, and pays me. He doesn't like being in the chair. So I'm pretty, like, I'm the McDonald's of barbering.
I also hate being in the chair for too long.
So, you know, basically
I'll actually fall asleep sometimes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So he and we built that relationship, and I talked to him, and, you know, we do, you know, talk about music and stuff like that, and I built that relationship with him. So, you know, I mean, yeah, he's gone, you know, other barbers when I couldn't get him, but I'm basically, you know, I'm one of his main barbers, and I've been cutting him for maybe about 4 years, I believe. I'm cutting him ever since.
Cool. I mean, okay. So then if, you know, for someone who is trying to eventually, like, I would say, build up to that status, like, is there any, like you said, you've had some people who are celebrity barbers.
Yeah.
Right?
I know. Yeah.
Do you, like if someone was to try to get to that, how do you think someone gets to that type? I feel like it would just be through connections,
and you gotta impose your will on people. Like I did the example of JC where I said, you know, he went Hollywood or whatever, but I've seen him from the bottom. Like, when we were in barber school, like, he cut all right, but like I always remember this. He would tell us like, I'm gonna cut celebrities, and other guys would just laugh at him. You're not gonna cut any celebrities, but he started going to clubs and stuff like that, and just started passing out his card or whatever. So, and then once he got one, got another. This guy said, "Come over here," and then he built his brand, and he. Next, if you're cutting 5 celebrities, it's easy to get another one.
For sure.
You're cutting 6 celebrities, it's easy to get 2 or 3 more.
Right.
And you just start building the momentum, and that's what he did. And he spoke it to existence, and he just kept going.
He fucking went in.
He just went in. That's awesome. And that's how you do it. And that's how you do it. I mean, if I pushed myself to do that, I could be a celebrity barber because I know what to do. But at this point, I don't. In my career, I have so many regular clients. I don't have the time to be a celebrity barber.
Gotcha. It's more than enough to sustain yourself and create a lifestyle.
People want to be the celebrity barber, but they don't know what it is going through to be the celebrity barber.
Yeah,
like
as far as like values.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put out personal business of people who I cut that are celebrities.
For
but
sure.
It's demanding sometimes on you, like because they're paying you. If you respect yourself, they're paying you a high amount, so they want you to come and cut you at weird hours or fly out or
shit.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're celebrities, so they're used to doing that. When you're a celebrity, you got money. People come to you and they do odd stuff.
I mean, imagine anybody that have money, even if they were celebrities and that, and said, "Hey, you know what? Like, can you come my hair at this time at this location?" Right?
And that's a good side note because people like. I had regular clients, people who have money that aren't people always think that just because they're celebrities they're going to pay you a lot. I've had I wouldn't say regular clients, but clients who have money that pay me more than the celebrities. There's a guy who doesn't want to be named or whatever. I'm not going to name him, and he paid me more than Logic has paid me before.
Okay, interesting.
And I go to his house and I cut him, and he just
the convenience, your expertise, you especially because of you, right?
He liked me for me, and I would drive maybe an hour and a half to go cut him sometimes, which is long.
Damn.
And he's not even a celebrity. So I try to tell people they want to go cut celebrities for a lifestyle, but what do you want to cut celebrities for? The money? Because you don't have to cut a celebrity to make money. You can find that clientele. You
just have to put yourself out more and build the right values for yourself to let people know who you are.
Exactly. And I started. I built my regular clientele, so I have a decent amount of regular clientele. So if I transition to the celebrity thing, my revenue would go down because it's my downing. But if I started doing example how JC did, and he built celebrity clientele, that's all he does. He works around that. So it's hard to go and transition to both because I can't. There's been time once you start doing that, like people don't realize like you have a good regular clientele and then you want to be a celebrity barber, your regular clientele is going to fall down because there's going to be times where people are like, I want a haircut right now, and then you're going to be like, hey, I got to cancel this, and you keep canceling your regular guy.
You're going to cancel on you?
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, this guy's paying me, $200 to $300 to cut his hair. My regular guy's going to pay me $40. Let me cancel him and do this. And then you do it a couple of times, and then celebrity stop calling you, but you already lost out at your regular clients.
So it's like taking in one big client, potentially big client, for a consistent normal amount of rate, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, weighing the pros. Do you want the credibility? Is it going to get you somewhere? Or are you just taking it for the money? Or would you rather have something more consistent that you can certainly secure?
Yeah, and like that, for example, like I got an opportunity to cut Rod Wave. He was out here, and they're like, hey, can you cut Rod Wave? Can you be here in 45 minutes? I had a booked day. And I was like, man, dude, it's like, in your head, you're like, man, it's Rod Wave. I want to cut him. He's blowing up. He has a hot song and, whatever.
Yeah.
And so you're like this, but I'm like, but these two people, I got 3 appointments in a row right now. And these guys come every week, every 2 weeks. I'm going to cut Rod Wave one time and get that $200 to $300 or whatever it is, or $500. I don't know what he's going to pay me. But I might lose these guys because they feel disrespected because they've been coming to me for years, and I ditched them to go get this quick money, So that's
about loyalty.
Yeah, it's about loyalty. So you gotta remain loyal, and that's why I bring up the example because people just see the lifestyle with the celebrity barbers, and they try to do certain things, but they'll fuck up their whole money trying to kiss ass to celebrities. I had celebrities fucking. I mean, I've talked about it a couple times. I'm not going to say his name, but I had a guy from the Chargers come, and I cut his hair.
Out here?
they called and they're like, we live in LA or whatever. We're used to LA barbers, and this is disrespect that we get from Oxnard. They're like, well, I go to LA and this and that, and they kind of look down on us because we're not such a big city. So they go and and I knew the barber that they got cut by. He charges like I don't know, triple amount of what I did, right? Mm-hmm. So I could just do the good haircut. I take my time, blah blah blah. He rolls up in a G-Wagon. His wife has, Louis Vuitton purses and Louis Vuitton. I never even seen a Louis Vuitton stroller. They had a with the baby in there. So they're in there looking like money or whatever. I cut his hair or whatever. Oh, he's like, yeah, do this. He didn't even tip me.
Oh.
At all.
Damn.
And I was having conversations with him, and I knew he was. I knew he played for the Chargers. I'm not, because I watch football, and I was asking him, oh, what do you do? And this and that. And he's like, oh, well, I'm retired, but I'm just out here. I'm looking to buy a house. So I'm like, this dude's out here looking to buy a house. I know he played football. He's playing dumb, probably because he doesn't want to pay me because I'm from Oxnard. But I know the barber he gets cut by in LA charges triple what I did. He gives me money just because I'm from Oxnard and disrespects me and gives me the minimum just because I'm from Oxnard. I'm not from LA. And I get it. I'm not from LA, but respect my craft, you know what I'm saying? Like, sure. I spent my time, I took my time out the day and I cut you and it's
like, what's the diligence, right?
Yeah, you're over here looking like money and flossy and you're coming over here telling me you're over here just to buy a house and man. So and it was a lesson for me. Like after that time, I was like, I'm not gonna be like a fanboy or like undercut myself to cut somebody that has a status. I'm going to be firm and not let them walk all over you, because that's big too, because a lot of people will dick ride or try to kiss somebody's ass just to cut the celebrity but not respect them as a price,
For sure. Yeah.
And that's a problem.
I've come across that myself as well. Not for the celebrity aspect, but like just valuing myself enough to that point where my prices are solid based on these conditions.
Yeah.
Because I guess like I'm overdoing it, Yeah. Even though they're like close friends or, it's a potential connection or maybe they're known for this or whatever. It's just like, at some point, once you understand your worth more and your time, then it's like, well, this is what it is. You're more than welcome to go to somebody else.
Yeah, and it was good. It was a learning lesson, because after that I got another client, which was the football player Marcus Allen, and I wouldn't say I was his personal barber, but I cut him for like a year straight, once a week.
Nice.
And that was
good,
and that was cool. And dealing with him, and he was a wild character. Like I couldn't read him. Sometimes he'll be talkative and sometimes he wouldn't. And there was a couple times where I'm cutting him in my shop and people look and they see who it is and he's like, "Are you Marcus Allen?" And I could tell he would get kind of annoyed. So I had to learn to kind of like not respect his privacy, but do something sort of things to keep him comfortable. So I started closing the door when he would come, or trying to cut him earlier when people weren't there to make him feel comfortable, because he didn't want to be seen or to talk to anybody. Because not every celebrity is friendly, and not everybody wants to talk all the time.
Yeah, especially
sign autographs and do something
for
like that.
For sure, especially at that time,
Exactly. So I had to change it up and do that, or talk to some barber, say, "Yeah, I got Marcus coming in here, so don't try to like." Do certain things, and cool. So I made mistakes and stuff, but you live and learn from those things.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing a lot of this stuff. I think from this episode, I'm sure not just barbers, but other creators in the voice community can also get value from this thing. So I want to pivot a little bit in the ending as far as this end, because I think I respect your time as well. Mm-hmm. But just for you on your end, Branden, what are some things that you're looking forward for? I mean, we're transitioning out of COVID. I don't know what you call it, and technology is rising, opportunities coming up, but also inflation. So what's new for you? What's next?
Right now I'm just grinding, because I feel COVID had messed a lot of stuff up, and I felt like we were in a good place, like starting to get momentum again, and recession hit. And I noticed a lot of barbershops, a lot of people aren't spending money, and people don't understand what a recession is, but it's when people don't want to spend money. Like the price of everything's getting too high. So I see a big drop in stuff, because now I see people are like more conscious of their money and what they spend, because there's less money out. Less people are spending money. So I hope it starts getting back to normal, but I don't think it's not going to get semi back to normal until we curb inflation.
Yeah.
Because with no money, people are not going to spend money. and spending money mean going out, doing things.
Oh man!
And to go out and do things, you need a haircut.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
like if you're
sense.
like, oh, I want to go to a party, first thing I gotta go get a haircut. But now if you're like, I don't have money to spend on a party, I'm not gonna go get a haircut. So your regular once a week guy or twice a week guy might not now start coming once a month because he wants to cut back. Or
Damn, bro, are you describing me right now?
Huh? I'm just
kidding.
It's just reality.
No,
As a
I'm
barber,
about two times a week normally.
Yes,
2 times a month. Sorry.
You're about 2 times a month. So like
I've never been a once a week kind of person, just because whatever.
There are some people that are like that, and sometimes the once a week guys, once some when inflation and stuff start, they'll cut back. Like just in life, you have to make cutbacks. Like imagine you're going, I go to Starbucks, and you hit that Starbucks bill, and you're like, man, well I'm not making as much. I don't need to get a Starbucks cup every day. Let me buy the bag, and that it's the same with haircuts.
For sure.
Like you like, do I really need a haircut once a week, or am I going anywhere? And also that plays a part in that is weather.
That's true. That weather.
Rainy weather, people don't like to get haircuts. Ugly weather, because rain. Do you go out in the rain? Do you go to a party on the rain? Are you having a barbecue? You don't want to go out in the rain.
That's a funny thought. I never thought about that. I just get a haircut because I hate looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, damn, that looks a little long.
if it's raining and doing something, you're not going out. You're staying at home. You're like, I don't need a haircut.
Yeah.
That's just something that people have to grasp and they don't understand. Like
Makes
in
sense.
business, it's the same thing. Like if you go to a restaurant, do you see the restaurant packed sometimes when it's raining? Like people are like, no, I'm gonna stay home. It's the same thing with haircuts. Like haircuts, you want to look good and go out, but if you're not going out or not being seen, there's no need to groom. Right.
Makes sense.
Unless it's just a habit that you have. Like you just said, I like to have a haircut, but you're like, well, no one's gonna see me. I could skip a week. I could skip my moment.
What else are you working on? I mean, I know you said you're investing, right? I mean, you've also had brands in the past. I mean, do you ever see yourself in building other brands?
I had an aftershave brand. I had a clothing brand, and I did those things. And right now, I'm just kind of focused on the barber shop and doing that stuff. I mean, like I day trade a little bit in the morning, and the market, like just a recession, the market's kind of crazy. So it's a rough patch right now for this year. So like trading has been kind of like up and down because it goes in cycles with stuff. So right now I'm just focused on the barbershop cutting and hopefully get out through this recession and build from there. Last year I did I did a sneaker event with the barbershop. The barbershop hosted that. I don't know if it's people were asking me to do another one, but I don't know if it's the right time with the recession and stuff like that. Timing is everything in business, so you have to kind of play things by ear. You can't just be like, I'm gonna open up a shop or I'm gonna do something during COVID. Like you want to do things. Timing is perfect. Your timing has to be perfect. You don't want to do stuff at the peak. You don't want to do when people aren't doing stuff.
Right.
So right now I'm just waiting. I'm just focusing on the bread and butter, which is the barbershop and me cutting hair, and then waiting on the next opportunity because I feel there's not as many business opportunities or ventures right now because people aren't spending money. You need people to spend money to create new avenues and stuff like that. If not, then you just need to work on your bread and butter and keep going until you find that window of opportunity. But when you find that window of opportunity, you better be ready for it because that's what it comes.
Yeah, cool. Well, shit. Thank you for sharing some of that as well, what you got going on. And then, so for anybody who wants to connect with you or link up, how can they reach you and on your shop if they want to get cut as well?
Social media. Instagram, the handle will be the Re-Up Shop, and then my personal one is Hollow the Barber. If you want to get a haircut by me on my barber page, I got a booking link on there. You can go on there.
Everybody just did that now, huh?
Yeah, if you need.
It's the best way.
It's just easier that way. Like I used to hate, like I was old school too, because I used to hate carrying my book everywhere. People are like, "Oh, do you have 4 o'clock open?" And I'm at home, and I'm like, "I don't have my book on me. Like, where's my schedule?" And this is back, and then iPhone had barely came out, and I don't even know if iPhone had notes back then. I can't remember. I don't remember how I had the way I had to do it was I had to go through all my text messages to see what times I agreed to people when I wasn't at my book, and then go to my book in the morning and write all these appointments down.
Right.
So now the online booking thing makes it a lot easier. But I have people that are old school, or I would say old school, but older than me, that they're like, I don't want to use your link, so they still text and call me.
Okay. But you just book it for them.
I just book it for them, but on my Instagram, for the most part, I'd say like 70% of my clients book book on there. You know, the rest of the people, they're old school. I don't want to use that. I don't want to do this. So
for me, I just look at the link from my barber, and
yeah, I feel like because you're tech savvy, but there's some people that just hate that type of stuff.
Well, so. It's easier too because you can see what's available instead of like back and forth.
But they don't understand that it makes it easier for me. I'm cutting somebody's hair, and then they're calling me like, "What times you have open?" I have to go look and do all this stuff.
That's so crazy. I never realized that now.
Yeah, I'm like, I had to figure out putting in time when I could just give you this link and it shows my whole schedule on there. You just pick a time. But, you know, there's people that are old school and they don't like to do that and make my life a little bit more difficult.
Please make it easier. Okay, cool. And then ending it off, for anybody listening and tuning in, is there any last message you want to voice out for any listeners out there?
As far as what, for barbering or
for anybody, actually.
Don't cut corners.
That was the main gist of this thing.
That was the main. Don't cut corners. You know, do things the right way. When you cut corners, you're always going to have to go back and finish the race. You're not going to finish. You may get to the finish line, but since you didn't do it the right way, you're going to have to go back and finish.
That's true.
Don't cut corners. Do things the right way, and I guess, you know, be respectful and don't burn bridges.
Yeah, it's true about what you say, cut corners. For me, one of my biggest foundation has always been to never skip steps.
Yeah. When you skip steps, it's just, I mean, and I'm not perfect because I had to practice what I preach because I do that with a lot of stuff too. You know, like when I remember when I first started cutting hair because so when I first started cutting hair, there was a lot of people were getting shortcuts, and that was the biggest thing. So when I was in barber school, I never wanted to use the scissors. But then when I was in the barber shop and I started getting clients that wanted scissors on there, I struggled.
Oh wow!
So
do people
I had to go back.
I mean, like specifically for like longer hair, or
yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's still, and even to this day, like sometimes, like when there's long hair, like I didn't practice that much at school because that wasn't a lot of people don't ask for that, but I cut the corner and I just wanted to learn the fades and the tapers and stuff like that.
That was the thing to go to.
That was the thing to go to, but like I never like, you know, the chances are how many people are going to come with long hair? That's what you think.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And
you got to be prepared, right?
And that's the thing when I talked about the kids cutting corners, they just know how to do Edgars and those hairstyles.
It's easy, you know, it makes money, but
what happens when it changes? When the fad changes, how are you going to adapt to the new haircuts? You know, so that's the whole thing with cutting corners, and that's what I learned with business and everything. Whenever I cut corners, it always comes back to bite me in the ass.
Yeah, I can see that.
Always.
Sure.
So
cool, awesome. Well, thank you for having here. You heard it, guys. Don't cut corners. And Branden, thank you for
appreciate you.
Hopping on in here. It's dope to hear about your story and you know what you came across with your lifestyle.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure, Sam. For anybody tuning in, we'll see you guys on the next episode.